Hi, I'm Elizabeth, Fellowship of Oso Creek's Administrative Coordinator and Mother's Day Out Director, and I get to share some devotional thoughts with you today. We're in the season of Easter, and things look very different from normal. I personally love culture, both my own and others. I love the trappings that go along to make a holiday both familiar and special. For Easter, that's spring dresses and children dressed up, egg hunts, dyeing eggs, flowers, and sunrise services, and all the things that go along with the holiday. But this year, due to the COVID-19 crisis, there's many of these things we're not getting to do. Some we can do in our homes, but visiting family and friends and gathering together on Sunday aren't happening. Not because of fear, because of we love our neighbors. And that is the second command that Jesus gave us after loving God. So this year, with so many things not happening, we do have time to stop and consider Jesus. And when I want to know Jesus better, I go to his words in the Gospels, especially the Sermon on the Mount, which is Jesus' longest teaching and can be found in the book of Matthew. I grew up with the New International Version of the Bible, and often I'm so familiar with the words that they just run through my head without me really stopping to reflect on them. So in this season of being home, I've been doing my readings in the Message, which is a paraphrased translation of the Bible in contemporary language. I'd like to read the Do Not Worry section of the Sermon on the Mount that begins with, "Do not worry about what you will eat or what you will drink or what you will wear," and ends with, "But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you." But I'm going to read it in the Message. This is Matthew 6:25 through 34. If you decide for God, living a life of God worship, it follows that you don't fuss about what's on the table at mealtimes, or whether the clothes in your closet are in fashion. There is far more to your life than the food you put in your stomach, more to your outer appearance than the clothes you hang on your body. Look at the birds, free and unfettered, not tied down to a job description, careless in the care of God, and you count far more to him than birds. Has anyone by fussing in front of the mirror ever gotten taller by so much as an inch? All this time and money wasted on fashion. Do you think it makes all that much difference? Instead of looking at the fashions, walk out into the fields and look at the wildflowers. They never primp or shop, but have you seen colors and design quite like it? The 10 best dressed men and women in the country look shabby alongside them. If God gives such attention to the appearance of wildflowers, most of which are never even seen, don't you think he'll attend to you, take pride in you, do his best for you? What I'm trying to do here, and remember this is Jesus speaking, is to get you to relax, not be so preoccupied with getting, so that you can respond to God's giving. People who don't know God and the way he works fuss over these things, but you know both God and how he works. Steep your life in God reality, God initiative, God provisions. Don't worry about missing out. You'll find all your everyday human concerns will be met. Give your entire attention to what God is doing right now, and don't get worked up about what may or may not happen tomorrow. God will help you deal with whatever hard things come up when the time comes. The first thing I get from this passage is that bird watching and looking at wildflowers is biblical. Seriously, and I'm so glad because I love the birds of this area. I go a slightly slower way to work so I can see a pond that has whistling ducks and roseate spoonbills, cormorants and ibises and herons, and seasonally sandhill cranes and white pelicans. Pausing to enjoy God's creation is calming. I also love that we have flowers year-round in Corpus and the beautiful wildflowers right now. So taking time to connect with nature is important for our mental health, and we have beautiful opportunities to do that here, even if it's just a walk in your neighborhood. That's one takeaway, but of course there's more. Jesus doesn't tell us not to worry because he's putting a heavy burden on us. He's saying not to worry so we can be open to what God wants to give. He didn't say this because there's nothing to be worried about. In Jesus' time, they had Roman occupation, potential famines, the burdens of keeping the law with Pharisees watching. And now, today, we have a global pandemic, the economy, schooling issues, health concerns, the uncertainty what the future holds. There's a lot we can get constantly worked up about. There are many things to learn from Jesus dying on the cross, and one is that there is divine solidarity in human suffering. God does understand our worries. He wouldn't need to tell us not to worry if there wasn't anything to worry about. But when we focus on the worries, we're not focusing on God. There are two practical things that are helpful to me when my mind starts to worry. One is a quotation from the author Beth Moore. She said, "God gives us grace in our time of need, not in our time of imagination." When we're just imagining how horrible things can be and letting our brains spin, if we pause and ask Him, God will meet us there and give us comfort and love. But it's actually when we're in the rough situation that God amazingly provides, whether it's through family and friends and by peace in our own hearts. Another practical tool is one you might have seen posted. It has two circles showing on the inside what I can control in life, and especially during this time, and outside what we can't control. We can focus on the things that are in our control, such as how I respond to my family, how much time I spend looking at the news, how I follow recommendations, and filling my life with God's truth. And then we let go of the things that we can't control, such as how others are following the recommendations, the economy, what's going to happen with schooling, and when this will all end. Taking positive action on what we can control and not worrying about what we don't is a great step in obeying Jesus' command not to worry. I don't want to leave you with a pithy Christian saying that does more harm than good. Don't worry, Hakuna Matata. But I do want to leave you with the truth of Jesus. When we look deeper at this passage, we see the how and why we don't worry. How is by connecting to God's creation and knowing that He loves us even more than all the other beautiful things He created. Remembering that His mercies are new every day and He does give us our daily bread. The why is so we can seek Him and trust Him and be open to all the unexpected things He has for us during times of suffering. Easter reminds us that Jesus suffered along with us, and Jesus reminds us of how much He cares for us and how we can depend on Him. Do you have any tools that help calm your mind when you start to worry? Are there specific verses you find helpful to meditate on? I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can put them in the comments. Grace and peace to you all.